This is for Witches of the Moon. I'm going to be talking today about celebrating as a witch, and because I've had problems with my video camera yesterday and the neighbours were drilling all day and they'll probably be doing it again today, I decided to use the web camera, and to get this done quickly as possible I decided to talk over while I'm just doing one of my things that I need to do today, which is taking the crystals out from their cleansing bowls. There's 4 of them, you can see 2, we will move over as we talk through. So this bowl is mostly the ones that are part of the crystal grid. There's also the wand and something else in there, but I might mention each crystal briefly as we go through, but mainly we just want to talk about how we celebrate as a witch. So I'll do that as I'm going through this. So basically it's 2 birds with 1 stone is the basic idea. So let's get the wands out first. This is the rose quartz wand that I mentioned in my other video for last week's video for Witches of the Moon. Okay, so celebrating as a witch and what we celebrate and what our favourite celebration is, etc. So I celebrate Esbats, which is full moon rituals. I also do dark moon rituals, and I celebrate the Sabbats, the festivals of the year. Now the Sabbats are often considered to be a Wiccan thing with the Wheel of the Year, and they are the 8 festivals that mark going through nature, and we've just had the summer solstice. So the solstices and equinox mark the 4 quarters of the year for the seasons, and then the other 4, sometimes known as lesser Sabbats, mark different periods, festivals of harvest and other such things of that nature. I'm not going to go through every Sabbat because I think there's something wonderful in discovering Sabbats for yourself, and although some people poo-poo Sabbat celebration as something Wiccan, as if that's a bad thing, which it's not, sometimes people sort of say that, you know, it's not necessary for being a witch, and I completely and utterly disagree. I think being a witch, whatever path you follow, and I'm following and learning all about the Celtic path, is about connecting with the energies of the earth and the energies of spirit, source, God, goddess, however you look at it and perceive it, throughout nature, throughout the world, in the animal kingdom, etc. You know, crystals is a primary example here as I am taking them out and letting them dry off. We've just had the supermoon, which is why these have been cleansing in the moonlight, to charge them up and cleanse them. Now, I think it's very important to work with the energies of the earth and the moon. Moon being representative of the goddess, and to work with equally important, to work with the energies of the sun for the god. Now, what better way to do that than to observe festivals and occasions such as Esbats, which are basically celebrations of these occasions. Every full moon I rededicate myself, every new moon, dark moon I rededicate myself, and connect to those energies of the goddess through the Esbats. I celebrate the Sabbats, the festivals of the year, because not only does it mean that you are connecting to what's going on in the world around you in a different way, so you are embracing things such as you are becoming more aware of local available food and produce through the dishes that you cook, for example. You can be becoming more aware of the way that the earth is shifting and changing. Firstly, on a very basic level, so you decorate your altar with tokens of the season, autumn leaves in autumn, fresh flowers in spring, pumpkins for Samhain, and you become aware of all the imagery and the things going on in the world in a very real and a very physical sense. But then you also sort of start to become more aware of the energies surrounding that. And that's something wonderful. So there's something fantastic about celebrating festivals as well. Just look at these just a second. Look how pretty. These are all for my Morrigan altar. They all feel a lot better now they've been cleansed. It's nice. Some of them feel fine anyway. That's my skulls. So while I have my skulls on hand, look how gorgeous. There's the jet one. They're gorgeous. My favourite Sabbat is Halloween Samhain. It has always been Samhain. I get incredibly excited about Samhain. The Mabon festivals tend to suffer a little bit because I'm trying very hard to focus on Mabon, and autumn is my favourite season, so I do enjoy Mabon, but I know Samhain is right round the corner and I'm just too excited by that point, and it happens every single year. Now this happened before I was before I had started to explore my path. I was more excited by Halloween as a child than at any other point. And I later found out that it's actually the Morrigan's Sabbat. I think it's when she was supposed to have copulated with Dagda, and then there's all this imagery and things, but she's a goddess of death and rebirth, and that's what Samhain is all about. So when I very first loved Halloween, I couldn't fully understand why I connected to it so deeply. Let's just show you my obsidian orb for the Morrigan. How beautiful. And I never really fully understood why it was that I would connect so much to something, and a lot of people are quite flippant about Halloween as a, like outside of the pagan path, are quite flippant about Samhain, like as if it's something to be made fun of, that witches and pagans alike and all celebrate a festival where you dress up and like it's somehow childlike or something. People try and poo-poo it, and they firstly are completely ignoring the deeper meaning behind it. It's going into the darker half of the year, it's being reflective, it's honouring your ancestors, it's honouring the dead, and a lot of people sort of either ignore that or sort of fear that as if it's somehow unpleasant, and it's not unpleasant, it's at all, it's just honouring those who have passed to the next stage of the process, the journey, the cycle. And as a child, I loved Samhain. I used to love decorating the house. I used to love dressing up. I always was a witch when I dressed up. And I think there is a certain amount of pride in it. It's like you can be yourself, you can be a witch, you can dress up as crazy as you want, you can dress up as whatever you want, and you can just be free. So maybe there is a childlike element in there. You can have some naughty sweets, you can play, you can be proud to be a witch, you can dress up, you can... A lot of pagans and witches love the whole Halloween decorations, no matter which side of the scale you're on, whether you like the full-on creepy or if you prefer the cute stuff. I'm probably more cutesy in my Halloween decorations. I absolutely love it. And from about a month beforehand, I start scouring the shops. And I have plenty now. The Gnome Dreads, the October. Because every weekend I'm like, we've got to go, we've got to check, we've got to make sure. And last year was an absolute abomination last year. There was nothing. There was so little Halloween decorations last year that I am considering ordering a lot of mine this year online, which I don't really want to do. I like going into the Samhain decorations and being like, oh, I want one of those and one of them, and you'd be able to hold them. It's like last year Matalan didn't have anything until about a couple of weeks before, and it was all pretty rubbish. I got one or two really nice things, and the rest of it was naff, and it was a tiny table. It was like a little table. And the year before they had 2 aisles of stuff. So I was fully disappointed with them last year. They better be better this year. They actually asked the staff what was going on, and they didn't know. They just said that's what they'd been given, and it was shocking compared to last year. And they had Xmas stuff at that point as well. So, and they had aisles of Xmas stuff in October, and I was like, you know what, this just bleh. Just bleh. So Samhain gets me excited, and I love it, and I love the decorations, I love the imagery. I actually prefer going into the dark half of the year. I prefer autumn as a season is my favourite. I appreciate winter a lot more than I used to. There's something about going in, about the crone aspect. It's a more magical time as far as I'm concerned. Magic is more prominent, more meaningful personally. I don't know how much of it is my connection with Morrigan, whose main festival or main Sabbat is all tied up with the Samhain. When I was discovering that the Morrigan was my matron goddess, I found out that connection. That's on my connection page, that I was writing down all the things why I thought it was her, and then she appeared, and that was one of the main things. You know, I've always loved Samhain. I have a couple of Samhain decorations out all year round. It cheers me up. I have my Halloween tree out all year round, and I have my witchy cabinet, which was my Halloween project the year before last, and I made a little witchy cabinet. It's incredible. I love it. And I don't know, there's something about the colours in nature, the colours in the decorations. Orange and black, who'd have thought it, but oh my god, I can't get enough. Black is fairly obvious because there's plenty of black around, and it's all Morrigan related. For example, talking about correspondences that led you to realise, Orthoceras came to me not long before the Morrigan did. 2 or 3 years old. This is one of the first things I got from Morrigan. You see how it's spearhead shaped, and it's grounding, and it's black and white and things. That's fantastic, and you know, that's how I connect to my goddess. You see, that's similar how Samhain does. This is what my friend sent me, my very dear friend, and it's very deep and meaningful. It's a snowflake obsidian, and this is something she sent me for the Morrigan, and it's about me and her building a relationship up. And relationships are a big thing at Samhain. You know, people forget that. It's about connecting with loved ones who've passed on and honouring their memory so they're never forgotten. It's about connecting with loved ones who are still here. You know, I love to throw Halloween parties and things. I don't have many people living nearby anymore, so it tends to be me, the gnome, and then my sister and my nephew. And he's at the right age now, and he's just gone, no, he was 4 in April, so time is marching on. So he loves all of that right now, so that's really, really great. So, you know, we can, and he's the same as me. He loves it, and he's always asking about when Auntie Jojo is going to have her Halloween decorations up, and when it is they're coming to see us. Look at that, look how beautiful. So Yeah. So that is my favourite Sabbat, and I'm just going to pause the video a second and we'll talk briefly about Esbats. Okay, we're all plugged back in, so sorry about that. So we're going to talk just a little bit about Esbats. Esbats being the worship of the moon, the goddess specifically. I won't go into that in too much detail. I mean, again, it's a very personal thing, and if it's something that you feel that you want to connect to, then it's something that you need to investigate onto itself. Esbats is basically divided into subcategories. You've got full moon Esbats, dark moon Esbats, dark moon and new moon, which are, dark moon is considered to be 3 days before the new moon, and whether or not you celebrate them is all up to the individual, really. Last bar of crystals. There's a lot of crystals, right? Oh. Let's move that big bowl out of the way and move this one over. Okay. Not going to be able to see most of them on the mat unless I show you afterwards, which I suppose I could do. So the full moon Esbats are a little bit more ritualistic possibly than the festivals. You don't have to do rituals at the Sabbats, you don't have to do rituals at the Esbats, but somehow they're a little bit less playful. The festivals in particular, nearly all of them have a playful element to it, and bringing that joy in with Sabbats is really, really important, because basically you're celebrating the earth, your spirituality, your god and goddess, the world around you, the energies, everything. You're celebrating. And you are still celebrating on Esbats, but it's more specific, it's more connecting to the goddess, it's more about magic and prayer, maybe, if that's how you consider magic to be a form of prayer, which some of us do, some of us don't. It's a gentler time, it's a more reflective time, it's a more peaceful time, and it can be deeply moving. It can be a time for deep meditations, to go inward, to discover more about yourself and your relationship with deity. The new moon is when I do it quite frequently at both, but more specifically the new moon is when I was instructed by the goddess to rededicate myself to her every new moon. And that's part of following the Morrigan for me. So that's part of my relationship and my honouring of my goddess. That's what she asked of me, and that's what I do. You know, she is a pretty hands-on goddess in that respect. She expects, you know, constant rededication. And to keep honouring her energies and things. So that's what I do on the Esbats. There you go, there's some of my crystals. Amazing. There's a lot more, they go all along this mat. So that's a time for purifying yourself, purifying your altar, connecting with the energies, and I honestly think celebrating as a witch is really important. And because you've got to bring that joy in. That's the main thing. You've got to bring that joy in, and if you're not enjoying these things, then maybe it's not the thing for you. But I always do. I mean, sometimes I get a bit lethargic. Now, if I feel ill or lethargic or under the weather, any of these things, then with the Esbats, then I don't engage with ritual, and you can get away with Esbat ritual the day before or the day after the actual full moon. But being aware of the moon cycles and how the energy changes and how it makes you feel, and then the cycles of the year of the energy and how that makes you feel and how it connects you to your path as being a witch, is important as far as I'm concerned. And I think I've covered everything I want to, and before this video goes on for half a year, I've tried to keep myself contained because I could go on about Samhain probably for 5 or 6, 10, 20 videos worth. So I'm going to stop there, and that's it for me for Witches of the Moon. Please subscribe and keep watching. Thank you very much. Blessings.